everybody. My name is Robin from the Bean Museum. You probably haven't seen me before. I've been the voice behind the camera on some of the other discovery readings that we've done before. So I'm super excited that I get to read to you guys today and get to show you some really cool animals that we have. It's going to be a really good day. The two stories that we're going to read today are Little Skink's Tale by Janet Halfman and The Salamander Room by Ann Mazer. So we're going to be talking about some reptiles and some amphibians, so it should be pretty exciting. And for those of you who are familiar with our animal friends here, we're going to be talking about Randall and our friend PJ. So it's going to be really fun. We are going to give it just a minute. So it's 11 o'clock now. We'll give it just a minute to let some people come on. All right, for anyone just joining now, the two stories that we're going to read today are Little Skink's Tale by Janet Halfman and The Salamander Room by Ann Mazer. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to be talking about a reptile and an amphibian today. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll give people just a minute still to get all ready. Wait for some more people to come on. Feel free to ask any questions in the comments. I don't have any assistants with me since we're doing social distancing, so I won't be able to have somebody read the questions to me as we go, but I'm going to go through and try and read and answer as many of them as I can. And if I don't get around to it, we can get around to it later in the comments. Just check and see if the question has been answered a little bit later. So that should be a lot of fun. Give it just a minute more. Hope everyone is doing well with their quarantine and social distancing and everything. Our animals are all doing well here. All right, it's 11:01, so let's get started now. The first book we are going to read is The Salamander Room. And remember to be sure to ask any questions, or if you have any comments or want to say hi, you can just comment that in the comment section, and then I will try and answer and respond to as many of them as possible. All right, so here is The Salamander Room. Brian found a salamander in the woods. It was a little orange salamander that crawled through the dried leaves of the forest floor. The salamander was warm and cozy in the boy's hand. "Come live with me," Brian said. He took the salamander home. "Where will he sleep?" his mother asked. "I will make him a salamander bed to sleep in. I will cover him with leaves that are fresh and green, and bring moss that looks like little stars to be a pillow for his head. I will bring crickets to sing him to sleep and bullfrogs to tell him good night stories." "And when he wakes up, where will he play? I will carpet my room with shiny wet leaves and water them so he can slide around and play. I will bring stumps into my room so he can climb up the bark and sun himself on top. I will bring boulders that he can creep over." "He will miss his friends in the forest. I will bring salamander friends to play with him. They will be hungry. How will you feed them? I will bring insects to live in my room, and every day I will catch some and feed the salamanders, and I will make little pools of water on top of the boulders so they can drink whenever they are thirsty." "The insects will multiply, and soon there will be bugs and insects everywhere. I will find birds to eat the extra bugs and insects, and the bullfrogs will eat them too." I don't know about you, but I don't think my mom would be very happy if I let a bird come and live in my room. Where will the birds and bullfrogs live? I will bring trees for the birds to roost in and make ponds for the frogs. Birds need to fly. We can lift off the ceiling. They will sail in and out of the sky, but they will come back to my room when it is time for dinner, because they will know that the biggest, juiciest insects are there. the trees, how will they grow? The rain will come through the open roof, and the sun too. And vines will creep up the walls of my room, and ferns will grow under my bed. There will be big white mushrooms and moss like little stars growing around the tree stumps that the salamanders can climb on. And you, where will you sleep? I will sleep on a bed under the stars, with the moon shining through the green leaves of the trees. Owls will hoot and crickets will sing, and next to me on the boulder, with its head resting on soft moss, the salamander will sleep. And that is the end of our story. So that was the Salamander Room. And so for our first animal friend that we have with us today, this is our friend Randall. So Randall is a little dirty. This morning when I was pulling him out of his house, he was burrowing in the dirt and in the moss, and so he is all covered in mud and it got in his water. So that's why he might look a little dirty. But that's one thing that salamanders really like to do, especially tiger salamanders, which is what Randall is. They like to burrow in the dirt and then they come out to look for food and that kind of thing. So Randall is a salamander. That is a kind of amphibian. And you probably have heard of about amphibians from frogs, but salamanders are also amphibians. So one thing that makes an amphibian is that they breathe through their skin. So you might notice that I'm not actually touching Randall. We have him in this little carrying cage that we have for him. That is because amphibian skin is super, super sensitive. So everyone at home, take a really deep breath in, and now try and breathe it out through your skin. It doesn't work, right? That's because we breathe through our mouths and we use our lungs to get air with our mouths, but amphibians use their skin to do that. So their skin is very sensitive, and the oils and dirt from our hand can really ruin their skin and make it really hard for them to breathe. So it's very important that we don't touch salamanders. So the little boy in the story, he found a pet salamander, right? And he picked it up and he took it home. That's a really bad idea. You should not do that. If you find a salamander or a frog in the wild, if you touch them, you can get your oils on their skin, and it can really hurt them, and it can be really bad for them. So it's always important to leave wild animals in the wild. This salamander was actually found by a scout in Lake Powell, and he took it home to keep it as a pet, but he found that he couldn't take care of it very well, so he gave it to the museum so that we could take care of it better. So it's very important to leave animals in the wild. So you see the coloring that Randall has? He has some really cool colors on him, and that helps with his camouflage. He likes to spend a lot of time in the dirt and in the moss and in the water, and so there's kind of a little bit of a greenish yellowish color on him, and that could look like some moss or some algae that are growing in the lake or the river. And then there's some black spots that can look like some mud that would be splattered in those areas, so he can blend in really, really well, especially if he's digging in the dirt like he has some actual dirt on him right now. It helps him really blend into his environment. And you'll see that he's in some water, and that is part of him breathing through his skin. He has to keep his skin nice and wet so the oxygen can pass through easily. Does anyone have any questions or comments about Randall? You can be sure to type those in, or if you're watching this later, if you're not watching it live, you can still type the questions in and we'll try to answer it later even. If any of you guys have ever seen Monsters, Inc., you might recognize the name Randall. He's named after the bad guy on that show. He's kind of a salamander type creature. He looks kind of like this, so he's named after Randall from Monsters, Inc. Do we have any questions about Randall? Randall likes to eat a lot of bugs in the wild. Tiger salamanders eat a lot of bugs, and sometimes they'll even eat smaller frogs than them or worms. So they are predators. They don't necessarily look like they'd be predators, but they're really fast. They have really big mouths, so they can catch bugs super easy. All right. And tiger salamanders can live to be 12 to 15 years in the wild, which is a really long time when you consider how small these things are. Usually small creatures don't live to be super, super long, but he can live to be 12 to 15, so he can be a pretty old guy. We don't know how old Randall is because he was found out in the wild. But he can live to be pretty old. All right, everybody, get ready to say goodbye to Randall. And if anybody has any questions or comments that they think of, they can type it up and we can bring them out later and I'll try and answer them. We'll put Randall away for now. Bye, Randall. All right, and we'll move on to our next story. So this next story is called Little Skink's Tale. And this one was by Janet Halfman. Little Skink basked on a big yellow rock in the rays of the morning sun. Her chilly body soon turned snugly warm. She twitched her bright blue tail. The little lizard was ready to start her day. Leaping to the forest floor, she poked her pointy nose into a crack in a rotting log, and she looked for breakfast. Sniff, sniff, she smelled ants. She loved ants. Gobble, 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 she gulped down one ant after another. Her tummy was almost full when she felt a peck on her tail. It was a large, hungry crow. Little Skink was trapped. There was nowhere to turn, but she had a trick. Quicker than the crow could blink, Little Skink snapped off her bright blue tail. Wiggle, waggle, wiggle, went the tail, wiggling wildly through the fallen leaves. The crow forgot all about Little Skink. It wanted that wiggling, waggling tail. As the crow bounced this way and that, Little Skink slinked under a log. She was safe. Her wiggling, waggling tail had saved her. The next morning, as Little Skink basked on her rock, she felt a little sad. She missed her bright blue tail, even though she was happy to be alive. As she lay basking and thinking, a cottontail rabbit hopped in front of her rock. I wonder how I'd look with a tail like that, Little Skink thought. She pictured her new look. Very cute, she thought to herself, but too puffy fluffy. So there's the rabbit that she thought she might want to look like. But then she decided not to. Next, she tried a squirrel's tail. It's fun to flick and fluff, she said, but much too bushy. Day after day, Little Skink imagined herself wearing the tail of every animal she met. A deer's tail. Look, I can wave it like a little flag, she said, but it's too short and stubby. A skunk's tail. P.U., said Little Skink. Stinky, stinky, stinky. A porcupine's tail. Too stickly prickly, she said. An owl's tail? A lizard with feathers, she exclaimed. I don't think so. A turtle's tail. Too pointy, said Little Skink. While all were fine tails, not one was quite right for her. Then, one day, as she scampered onto her sunny rock, her shadow caught her eye. Her shadow had a tail. She whipped around. Sure enough, her tail had grown back. A skink needs a skink's tail, she said, and her tail dreaming days were over. All right, that's the end of that story, Little Skink's Tale. So we have another friend that we're going to bring out. All right. right, this is our friend PJ. PJ is a blue-tongued skink, so he's the same kind of lizard as the lizard in the story. You see his blue tongue there? It seems super bright, right? A lot of times, a lot of the animals that we have out, they're focusing on camouflage, right? They kind of want to blend into their environment so that they can't be found very easily. And you'd think that having a blue tongue would make them not be able to blend in very easily, right? But the blue tongue is a way that they defend themselves against their predators. So let's say a predator finds them in the woods or wherever it is that they are, and the blue skink sees them, and they open their mouth really wide and they stick out their blue tongue. And that's kind of a scary sight to have this blue tongue coming at you. And in the wild, oftentimes bright colors means that the animal is venomous. Blue-tongued skinks aren't venomous, but it gives the impression that they are. So a lot of times the predators will say, ooh, never mind, I don't want to have to deal with this guy. He's got a really freaky-looking tongue, and they just kind of leave him alone. So his tongue doesn't help him blend in very well, but it is a very good defense mechanism. His colors on his back, if you can see his back here, they are very dull colors. They're kind of the colors of the rocks and the dirt where they would live. That helps them blend in. You see he's kind of spreading his arms out. He has really, really short little legs compared to his body size. So blue-tongued skinks are not very fast. They're really pretty slow, especially compared to other reptiles their size. They're pretty friendly, they're pretty calm, shy creatures, so people have them as pets a lot because they're pretty easy to take care of, they're pretty shy, they're pretty slow, they're just kind of chill guys, they're really good pets. Blue-tongued skinks are found natively in Australia. So you probably wouldn't find any in your backyard. And guys, remember, if you have any questions, feel free to type them in and I will try and answer them. So if you'll remember in the story, the skink lost his tail. So you'll see how long this guy's tail is, PJ's tail here. And so lizards have this cool feature where they can drop their tails if they're threatened. So like in the story when the crow was coming towards the skink and he pecked at the tail, the skink in the story was able to just drop the tail and leave it kind of wiggling and waggling, and it distracted the crow while the lizard ran away. And so PJ has that cool trick too where he can just drop his tail and then grow a new one, which is super, super cool. See, let me get this up close. You can see he's got these kind of holes in his side, and that's where his ears are, kind of in the side of his face. Got that right there. That's kind of different from us, huh? Our ears kind of stick out. Instead, he has holes in his head, and that's how he hears, which is pretty exciting. So this guy, this is PJ. He's 16 years old. We got him in 2004. So he's kind of on the older side. Blue-tongued skinks can live about 15 or 20 years, so he's kind of old. That's also a pretty long lifespan for a small little creature. We had Randall out here earlier, and he is a tiger salamander, and he could live 12 to 15 years. So both of these friends that we've had out here today can live to be kind of old. They can live pretty long. So if you'll remember in the story at the very beginning, the little skink was sunning on a rock. And that is because reptiles are cold-blooded, or ectothermic, meaning that they get their heat from their surrounding environment. So PJ here has a lamp that he likes to sit under and warm himself up. And a lot of times in the wild, these lizards will sit in the sun, they'll sit on rocks, and they like to be nice and warm that way. Get all their heat from the sun and from their environment. All right, do we have any questions, any comments about PJ? Blue-tongued skinks are omnivorous in the wild, meaning they eat both plants and meat, so they will eat bugs, and they will also eat berries and grasses and other kinds of plants that they like to eat. And they are native to Australia, so probably won't find them around here. They don't like to eat very many things around here. Let's see if we can get up a close-up of his tongue so you guys can see how pretty of a color it is. PJ's a super cool guy. right, well, thank you guys so much for joining us in Discovery Reading today. If you're watching this later and not during the live time, you can still comment any questions that you have, and we'll try and get back to you and answer them. Be sure to join us tomorrow at 11. We'll be having a collections tour by Josh. And then if you'll be back here on Thursday, we have another Discovery Reading, and we'll read some more fun stories, and we'll have some more of our friends come out, and we can learn all about these animals. And yeah, so thank you guys so much for joining. Bye.